know me, I'm Stuart Fott. I'm the founder of Praze. I got started in dentistry back in the day working at Dentrix, and really kind of enjoyed the business side of dentistry and saw a lot of opportunity for innovation and growth and all that good stuff. And so back in 2010 or so, I started hearing about the term search engine optimization, or SEO, kind of when that was like a new thing. And so I went ahead and decided to start my own little SEO company for dentists, and then quickly realized really what was getting patients from the internet into the operatory were the doctors who had the most and best reviews. And so around 2011-ish, I created one of the first dental online review platforms. And over the years, I've worked with several thousand practices and have helped them really establish themselves as the most trusted dentists in their towns by having the most and best positive reviews, specifically on Google. So that's kind of our thing for those of you who don't know, but super excited to be here with a couple of members from the Fortune management team. We've got Frank and Miranda, and I think Don Corey is going to pop in a little bit later on. But really just thankful for the opportunity to sit down and chat and hear their presentation. They're going to talk about, I believe, 3 different ways to grow our practices. And so I'm excited just to kind of kick back, take some notes, and I hope all of you that end up listening to this really enjoy and learn a ton. So I'll pass the time over to Miranda.
Great. Thank you so much, Stuart. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and re-spotlight myself. Doing a lot of things over here. Also joining us, like you said, is Frank, and Don is going to be joining us in a little bit. So I'm going to be starting us off with this presentation, and I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this. So to reiterate, my name is Miranda Brooks. I am a coach with Fortune Management, as well with Frank on here and Don, and we really help offices grow their businesses. That's what we're all about. We're all about adding value. So that's what we hope to do today. So let me go ahead and share my screen for you all. Okay. Fantastic. Just give me a thumbs up that you all can see this okay. Excellent. Wonderful. Okay, great. So there we go. We're going to dive right in to the 5 business engines. So this is an area that we cover a lot with our clients, and we really take a deep dive into all these different components of what makes up a functioning business. So before we dive in, I want you to keep in mind the vision of your practice. That's why we're here. And really, you're going to have 2 different kinds of vision. You have structural vision, and then you also have philosophical vision. So I'm going to dive into exactly what that means. Structural vision is, how many days a week do you want to work? Things have happened a lot since COVID. Maybe you've kind of reevaluated the next 3 to 5 years of your practice life, even 10 years. It looks different. Do we want to acquire more practices or not? How much do you want to work? How little do you want to work? Do you want to start having weekends off or even Fridays off? These are starting of the conversations that we have with our clients, because it's so important to get a good structural vision as to how you want your life to operate moving forward. As well as taking into consideration, do you want to transition over to be a fee for service practice, or do you want to acquire different types of insurance? Do you want to have a mix? All of these different components are really going to play into your structural vision of your professional life, as well as your philosophical vision. This dives into, what kind of team do you want? What do you want your team culture to be like? Do you want to have regular outings with your teams? Do you want to have fun activities? Or do you want to keep it strictly professional? You know, come in, work really hard. I have a lot of offices that work hard and then they also play hard, and they have that nice balance. So our philosophy at Fortune is that we want to create an extraordinary practice and an extraordinary life. So not only are we speaking on behalf of your professional vision, but that's going to also tie into your personal vision, right? I mean, it's so often that we see doctors struggling with this harmony of being able to run a successful business and then also have a very successful personal life that feels nurtured and that you're giving time back to your family. So getting a big overall vision on how you want those both areas in your lives to work is where we really dive in and where we exceed as Fortune coaches. So as far as taking a vision in, I want you to also consider what your ideal patients are like and what sort of environment, like when you step into your office, are you excited to go to work every day, or do you dread it because you have a mountain of, fires that you have to put out every day? So let's go in and dive in on the 5 business engines. The first and foremost, you'll see clinical technology. And I am going to invite my colleague, Frank, to jump in because he's been in the biz for a while now. So I'm sure he's got some good 2 cents. So let's start with clinical technology. Where this engine takes place is going into your software. We look into all the business aspects, your supplies, as far as costs go as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the finance area. But as far as clinical technology, we want to look into, do you have goals as an office to upgrade your equipment? We have offices that are working with CEREC machines, offices that don't work with CEREC. We have offices that are looking into laser dentistry and some are not. So this is a really important component to consider when you are growing your team and what sort of investments you want to make. So we really go and do an evaluation of what your technology looks like. Are you still developing x-rays, or do we have the upgrade to digital now, and why there's more of a benefit to going digital? So when we first step into an office, this is the type of stuff that we're looking at, and we'll touch a little bit more on. We do something called a practice analysis. So the 5 business engines is just a small component of that practice analysis that we do, but clinical tech and technology is a big component. Frank, did you want to add anything to this category?
No, I mean, obviously all of these engines interact with each other, and they're all critically important to get right in order to succeed in the business. So I'll let you continue, and I'll chime in on the next one.
You got it. Great. Next is my favorite. It's sales and marketing. I do a lot of sales and marketing with my clients as well, with on the Fortune team in general. We do a lot of our own marketing, right? Because we really practice what we preach. So you have to be able to do that in order to advise and help out your clients. So sales and marketing, we want to take a look at what a healthy budget for marketing is. At Fortune, we like our clients to spend around 3 to 4% on their marketing as far as their overall gross revenue, because we want to keep it in a healthy range, but we also want to keep it in a range where we can grow. And marketing breaks down into a lot of different things, especially nowadays. What was that? Oh, I think I had someone chime in. That's okay. And so with marketing, we have internal marketing, and then we also have external marketing. I love to start with internal marketing because we work with what you're already doing well. Internal marketing is, to say the simplest form, your team and how well your team functions. A lot of times my clients will come to me and say, I need new patients. I need new patients, Miranda. We just don't have enough patients. We need more PPO patients. We need new patients. And I take a look and I said, all right, I hear you, but let's take a look at the relationships you've already made with patients who came in. Those relationships with your team that have already been made. And then we'll take a look at your recare effectiveness rate. That's a huge, huge indicator as to how well that you're internally marketing. Because if you are not providing recare to your patients in an efficient way, we want it upwards to 85% of really getting them on the books. And a lot of my clients start off with, 50% or less sometimes. So there's a lot of room to grow there. And that means just getting those patients who've already come in the office. They already know who you are. They've maybe had 1 or 2 procedures done already. Where are they? People are everywhere these days, especially post-COVID, but a lot of them may be returning back home. So it's worth a phone call. It's worth a reach out and getting those patients back into the office. And that's when internal marketing comes into play. It's your phone skills with that front desk team. It's the phone skills with the hygienist who has downtime, who can call patients that they've seen in the past to try to fill their schedules. And what does that scripting look like? What language are you using to get those patients back in the office. We like to use a term called enrollment to enroll them back, but it's re-enrollment. We're trying to get them back in. Maybe you've made some renovations. You had some downtime. I know some offices that put a fresh coat of paint on their office. They upgraded a few things. Things are looking really nice, shiny, and you got a new plant. Take a couple pictures for social media with your team and advertise that, like fresh new look. Patients get excited about that sort of stuff. And as well as internal marketing, what's great is getting those patients back in and on the schedule, which I know Stuart is so amazing about, and reaching out to those patients, making sure that they're like in a good place. And then he backs up with the SEO. So there's that digital component as far as marketing, and your website presence. Is it new? Come on, guys, it's plenty of time to update your old website address. Things are updating all the time. So making sure your website presence is really on point, making sure your SEO is on point. Thanks to Stuart. Making sure your presence on there. It's almost imperative to have some sort of existence on social media. So it's taking a look, like, where can we improve in that area? And I'm going to spend a little bit more time here because I think it's easy to get overwhelmed with a lot of this information, but your coaches are here to help guide you, to help connect you with people like Praze, to get you in with these rock star companies to help make things easier for you so that you can run your business. But it is important to shine light on it. You'll probably have team members that are excited about this, are excited to run, your Instagram page or your Facebook page. So reach out to them, make sure you have a good team in place for that, and that you can get excited about that. As well as external marketing goes, what are you doing in your community right now to help give yourself a presence? Are you giving back in some sort of way? And then are you capturing that with photos and videos so that people can see that you exist? So external marketing also falls into, street signage, as simple as that. Location, 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 right? With real estate, how accessible is it to people on the main street? But then also, how accessible is it through word of mouth? Still to this day, it's the oldest and best way of marketing your business is word of mouth. So to me, that plays more into the internal marketing component. Like, do you have rockstar patients that can refer other patients to your office? But also external, because if patients go to look for your office, do you have a good presence? Are you easy to find? That sort of thing. I know in New York City and New Jersey, like, advertising the fact that you have parking is like amazing. So it's all really good and important. And what I believe that the population wants to see now is making a real connection with their doctor. So I know some doctors don't like their photos taken. I know that maybe we don't like talking on videos or anything like that. But let me tell you this, patients need to see you, and they need to see the most current version of you, not a headshot from 25 years ago. Okay, so going back to that website, please update your headshots. I promise you will still shine through as your best self.
And moreover, video, if you can include video, right, that is the most powerful form of marketing. And to what Miranda was saying, especially if you can get word of mouth is powerful. So if you can get video testimonials from patients, that is, gold for you in terms of your online marketing. So that combined with, current video of you talking about your approach to care can be a really powerful 1-2 punch for helping you grow your online presence and following.
Oh, I love that. Video is so big right now. It's tremendous. And we usually go through some coaching, since we are dental coaches, on how to get a really great video testimonial from your patients. And it's not as hard as you think it is. And it usually just means that we need some accountable team members who are willing to step up to the plate and ask for those interviews. And you're not going to get a yes every single time, but the more you do, it's a numbers game. The more you ask, the more you make it seem like a fun experience, the more patients are willing to do it. Or maybe if it's not their first time you ask them, they decline because, they wanted a face full of makeup or something. Maybe the next time they come in, they'll remember that, and then they'll be ready to do their testimonial. So these are super important. Like Frank said, I think that's a great way to make sure that your patient reviews also stay stellar, right, Stuart? Those patient reviews are huge. Patients are looking at them constantly, and they need to be updated on a monthly basis. We can't, a patient review that's, 3 months old, I think you could shed light on that, Stuart, right? If it's like older than 3 months, then patients aren't usually that interested in coming to your office or getting like a truthful idea of how the experience
Yeah.
is gonna be. You want to say something on that?
Yeah. I always, tell our doctors like, hey, no one wants to be the practice that had great reviews up until 2010. Patients look at the reviews, they look at the dates, and yeah, I love just a strong amen to everything that you're saying. And the other thing, Miranda, that I really like that you mentioned is word of mouth. It's such a powerful strategy, and I'll have a lot of doctors tell me like, yeah, we like to build our practice by word of mouth, which I think is super smart. And I always tell our doctors the modern day word of mouth is online reviews. And so, it used to be back in the day, we'd have a patient, talk to their 5 to 10 friends. Now it's, you've got this digital opportunity to put a digital billboard up on Google as, these great reviews, and have patients post these really amazing, great reviews that are there long-term forever. And so I just, again, strongly encourage every practice out there to make a goal to have the most and best reviews on Google specifically.
Google. And
Yeah.
what's great about Google is you can add photos. So as if a patient snaps a photo in their treatment room, it gives you a really great bird's eye view as to what it's like to be in that environment, and
Totally.
that it's an active place that people are going to, which is great. I'll use a funny example. I was shopping for wallpaper. Who buys wallpaper these days? But like apparently it's really trendy now, this like peel and stick. And I'm shopping, and I think I like this one pattern, but it looks kind of graphic like I'm not sure. I need to see it in somebody's house, right? For it to really know how the colors translate. Right. I beeline straight for the reviews that were obviously 5-star. I like to look at the 1-star too, right? Everybody does that. And welcome, Don. Yeah. And what I loved about it was there were so many reviews on there with a picture of their space and how they used the wallpaper. And I was so grateful to be able to see that review that they posted and then see how it looked in their house, and it gave me even more ideas. So I translate that to the same experience of coming into a dental office, like, oh, I can envision myself sitting in that room, or I see that they have more modern equipment, or they have a really nice view, right, of the city skyline or something like that. So much goes into sales and marketing, so much to think about, and we're here to help you organize those thoughts and get you motivated as far as your marketing engine goes. Don, we are going to pick up at the people engine now that you're here. Do you want to chime in, or do you want me to take it over? I mean, I'd love to pass the baton.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's so important as we talk about 3 ways to grow your business to really nail these 5 engines. So, because that's what leadership is about. It's about running a business and understanding each of these engines, which exist in any business, as Miranda said. And by the way, I have heard that wallpaper is pretty trendy these days. So congrats on figuring that out. The people engine, and you can actually stop the share.
Okay, great.
Miranda, because I'm going to switch over here in a sec to my video. The people engine, some will argue, is the most important engine of the 5 business engines. Because look, what runs our dental practices, what differentiates our dental practices from any other dental practice is the people that work in it. And that means the doctors and the hygienists and the assistants and the admin team, all of them together. And I love Jim Collins' language around this, which comes from a great book called Good to Great, where he compares good companies that had average stock price increases to great companies which had significant stock price increases over a period of time. And what he says about people is, people are not your greatest asset. Good people are your greatest asset. So what we talk about at Fortune is hiring not only good people, but let's say great people, training them really well, keeping them motivated, and continuing that to take care of your people. They'll take care of your patients. So that's great. And I see, it's great. You may be watching this live, and we may have some, I see a lot of our friends out there live. And if you're watching this on recording as well, that's okay. I want to ask a question as I transition into 3 ways to grow your business, which is, Do me a favor, type into chat if you're a Starbucks fan. Do I have any Starbucks fans out there? Any Starbucks fans? Seeing a little bit in chat. Maybe we have a lot of Dunkin' Donuts fans today. I don't know. But you know what I love about Starbucks, besides the great coffee, of course, is the experience they provide. And, I'll often chill out at Starbucks. This is starting to come back now as well after we're back in kind of normal procedure, is in between meetings, if I've got some time to catch up on business, then Starbucks is a great place to do that because it's about the experience as much as it's about the coffee. And their brand is so ubiquitous. And I have a confession to make. I have a skill, unique, I think, which is I can spot a Starbucks from a mile away. And that's because of the brand, because that exactly that green color, exactly that logo, that's Starbucks. Even if the logo's not there, the color. But you know what else I love about Starbucks is those receipts that you get in the morning when you buy a cup of hot coffee, which is good for a discount for an iced coffee in the afternoon, right? And it's not just about coffee as well, or the experience. How about those cake pops? Anyone like those cake pops? They're delicious and only about 170 calories, which works out to be about 85 calories per bite, if anyone's calculating. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So there are 3 guaranteed ways to grow your business, any business, including your dental practice. The first is more new customers, or in this case, more new patients. The second is more frequency. And the third is more per visit. More customers, more frequency, and more per visit. So let's talk about Starbucks. Starbucks, how do they get more new customers? Well, have you ever seen them advertise? Not really. They don't advertise unless they have a new product or something that they're introducing, because they have such a strong brand. We all advertise for them. We carry around their logo coffee cups. We walk around with their bags with their logo on it. We're doing all of that. That's more new patients because of their strong brand. They also get you back in the store by offering you that discounted drink in the afternoon. That's more frequency. They don't want you in there once a day. They want you in there twice a day, at least. And the cake pops, that's more per visit. Cake pops and coffee, right? They're not just in there for the coffee. They have all of that big spread of other sandwiches and pastry and fruit and water and other drinks. So let's apply this to your dental practice. One of the best practice builders I know are care to share cards. Now, if you are and your team are asking for referrals consistently every single day, then that's exactly where you need to be. Mm-hmm. If you're not asking for referrals consistently every single day, and usually in a group of 100 people or 200 people in a live seminar, I'll get one hand maybe that are doing that consistently every single day. So just consider this as a great opportunity to grow your practice. And what we've seen work so well are credit card size plastic gift cards with a value of somewhere between $100 and $200 that existing patients can hand to family and friends. And what would happen is the new patient would receive the value of the gift card off their visit or any other restorative work that they have. So what's the best time to ask for a referral? Anyone know? Want to put that into chat? What's the best time to ask for a referral? Yeah, when you get a compliment. So we love compliments. This is something that you can teach a team member to say. Thank you so much for the compliment. We love compliments. And the best compliment you can give us is to refer your family and friends, because we want patients just like you. And by the way, here are 2 $100 gift cards that you can share with someone that you know. and be sure to tell them who referred you so we know who to thank. So you see what we're doing there is, number one, we're acknowledging the compliment and we're giving them a compliment right back. We want patients just like you. And we're doing something else there as well, which was we're anticipating the question from the patient, can I use these for my treatment? And by saying so we know who to thank, you're letting them know that we're going to take care of them as well. So if you want your practice to grow, this is one of the best ways, and it must be a daily habit. Must be a daily habit. And at Fortune, we support our clients by measuring and improving all along the way, because we know what gets measured gets improved. You with me so far? I see some nods. Yeah. Happy patients are the best, I see in chat. Okay. Now, a great way to support a care to share program is with a referral thank you program. This is also going to drive more new patients. So the best way to thank a patient who referred you is to send them a handwritten thank you note with a personalized gift. I can't emphasize enough this idea of a personalized gift, because anyone can give them a credit, which, by the way, in some states isn't even really legal. And anyone can give, one standard gift to everyone. But what if you personalize it? So, for example, give a coffee card to a coffee drinker, or movie tickets to a movie fan, or a sleeve of golf balls to a golfer. Here's a cool trick. If you have a patient that works in an office building, send them flowers. Because what happens when flowers show up in an office? Miranda, what happens when flowers show up in an office?
Oh, who are those from?
Yes, exactly. And even before that, all work stops. All work stops. And then come the questions. Who sent you the flowers? My dentist sent me the flowers. Really? You're dating your dentist? And that's how rumors start. And of course, visibility. So we love that. Now, I'll give you an example of one of our New York clients that got really creative about this with one of her referring patients. The patient happened to mention that he loved Carvel ice cream. So when the practice received 3 referrals from this patient, the doctor herself drove to the supermarket, picked up a Carvel ice cream cake, and hand delivered it to the patient. The patient loved it. Loved it. And of course, what do you think that fostered in return? Lots more referrals. And how much did that cost? I don't know, $20, 20 minutes of her time. But what is that worth? Have a great thank you program.
Oh, can I chime in on that real
Sure.
quick? So one great thing that, especially if you have patients in the city, offering to get them an Uber home is like gold.
Sure.
They don't take the subway, or if it's raining outside and they just came out from a long procedure, that doesn't say I care for you more than doing something like that.
Yeah,
it really does. Like I've seen a lot of patients do that in my office, or we've done that for patients, and it's just like completely was a game changer. They felt so taken care of, and we instantly got reviews after that because we went a little bit above and beyond what they were expecting.
Love it. And you can get so creative with these. So that's a really creative idea. Make it easy. Give them, think about a wow experience that you had. This is another great way to drive new patients. Think about a wow experience that you had, and how can you create that wow experience so that people become your raving fans? I'm going to give you one other way to create new patients, which is happening quite a bit in our industry these days. And we estimate that there are approximately 5,000 tear down dental practices in the US. And, these practices were state of the art at one point, maybe in the 80s, early 90s or something, but they haven't really kept up to date over the years. So what you can identify is figure out where these practices are and acquire them. And there's some strategies you can use to find them. And instead of using the space, because you don't really want the space or the old equipment, is take the patients and move those patients right into your location. Anything, depending where you are, could be, in the suburbs, 5 miles. In New York City, maybe it's more like 5 blocks. So it will vary, but you can move those patients right into yours. We have a client that in the last 15 months since COVID started has made 5 of those acquisitions. So that's a great way to grow. And another example of that is, back in 2015, a 60-year-old dentist came to me concerned about his lack of progress in his practice and his inability to retire. And he was doing about $600K at the time out of 2 treatment rooms, right in the basement of his home. And this was his plan. He was planning to work a few more years and then close his doors. He was putting 0 value on his practice. And when I showed him how he could sell his patient base when he's ready, he still wanted to work a few more years, it added to his retirement fund almost overnight. And now he's doing over 800K in those same 2 operatories because he didn't want to go through a big build out. And this is actually the year he's ready to transition. He probably will by the end of the year. And he's going to add that value right to his retirement fund. And by the way, he's doing it in fewer days than he was in 2015, more in fewer days. So let's talk about more frequency. And let me share a couple ways to do that. We've polled hundreds of hygienists. Miranda, if she didn't tell you, Miranda's a hygienist, and I think she would support this as well. We've polled hundreds of hygienists across the country, and they believe that 3 visits per year, even for a healthy patient, makes more sense today. In fact, do you know how the standard of twice per year was created? It was created with this newspaper ad from Pepsodent almost 100 years ago. And it says, very simply, I think I have it circled here, maybe still tough to read. If you brush twice a day for 2 minutes and see your dentist twice a year, then that's all you need to do. And what happened was the insurance industry just jumped on board with the twice per year. Now, again, this was 100 years ago. And one of our beliefs at Fortune is if you're as good as you were last year, you're actually worse. So you can imagine how I feel about 100 years. We need to update it. So a loyalty program allows patients to prepay for 3 annual visits, including cleanings, x-rays, exams, 20% of all operative and restorative procedures. So they get a discount as well. Now, 20% off is a great deal. It's a win-win situation because the patient's getting a deal, and that's likely less than you're writing off on your PPOs. And prepaying for those appointments will create more frequency. So that's one great way to do it. We have a program called Plan for Health. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can chat Miranda or chat one of our team members, and we'll tell you how to get set up on that. Great way to do it. In fact, if you're, getting patients, sometimes when you call a patient and remind them about their appointment, they say, I don't have my insurance. Some people may be still out of work and don't have dental insurance. Well, what you can say is, you know what? We have something better than dental insurance because there's no annual maximum. There's no deductible. There's no annual limit. There's several things that it does that insurance companies don't do. So it's really a great program. Another way to get more frequency is to reactivate your hygiene patients. Now, we've worked with hundreds of practices, thousands of practices, and I can tell you that the national average for recare effectiveness, which is just simply the percentage of your active patients in your hygiene program, is 35%. 35%. That means that the average dental practice is taking care of 35% of their active patients. Now, I know you didn't go to dental school to take care of 35% of your active patients, and you're not on this webinar trying to understand more about how you can grow your practice if that's what you were committed to. So what you need to do is create an effective program to reactivate those patients into your practice. And it's very simple. Any patient that doesn't have a recare appointment scheduled, I don't care if they were in yesterday or 2 years ago, if they don't have a recare appointment scheduled, they need to be reactivated. And that's just simply means they don't have a child prophy, an adult prophy, or a perio maintenance scheduled. They're a reactivation candidate. I'll give you one more idea to drive more frequency in your practice, which is morning huddles. So many practices know how important this is, and it's amazing how many are not consistently doing it. If you want to ensure a smooth day with immense patient value, be consistent about a morning huddle. So what a morning huddle would accomplish is some of the following items. For example, you review the provider results from the previous day and goals for today. Make sure we're all aligned on our goals for today. Who on the schedule has outstanding balances? So that's going to drive some income. Who on the schedule has outstanding treatment? That's an opportunity to reactivate treatment right in the hygiene chair. Who maybe needs a special setup? Get the team motivated for the day, because when the team is motivated for the day, you're going to take better care of patients. That's going to drive them to come back. One of our practices on the West Coast has masking tape at the employee entrance in the back. And on the masking tape, it's written the word showtime. Because once you step over that line, it's showtime. You're on stage. Disney actually calls their team members. Does anyone know? I know Frank knows. Miranda knows. Cast members, because they're not employees. They're reminding them that they're always on stage. You don't want Cinderella smoking behind the stage, right? You're always on stage. So this prep, when you do this, it's going to have patients coming back to your practice more often. So we talked about more new patients. We talked about more frequency. Let's talk about more per visit. So the first thing I want to talk about is scheduling to goal. So in order to schedule the goal, you must have a goal. Pretty straightforward. And there's a cool research study that I like to refer to that took place back in 1979. Researchers asked the Harvard graduating class 2 questions. Do you have a goal? And do you have them written down? And 84% didn't have goals at all. Harvard graduating class. 13% had goals, but didn't have them written down. And 3% had goals and had them written down. Now, 10 years later, they came back and they looked at total income as a measurement of the study. And here's what's compelling. The 13% that had goals and didn't have them written down were earning twice as much as those that didn't have goals at all. And the 3% that had goals and had them written down were earning 10 times the rest of the group. Pretty compelling in my mind. And by the way, they were more fulfilled in all other aspects of their life, their relationships, their emotions, their health, their spirituality. So establish your goals and write them down. Do I have a slide on this? No, we'll get to that in a minute. So now, once you have goals in place for each provider in your practice, you're going to use your scheduling software, EagleSoft or Dentrix or Open Dental or whatever you're using, to schedule your time effectively. We like to see our doctors working out of 2 treatment rooms with 2 clinical assistants. What's the reason for that? Because if you have 2 clinical assistants, the doctor's never alone and the patient's never alone. And we're not asking the doctor to be in more than one place at the same time. In fact, you'll see how this runs so smoothly. You're scheduling your time so that the doctor time can be in the right treatment room at the right time, and the assistant is taking care of the patient at those other times. Your doctors, your time could be worth as much as, or sometimes more than $1,000 per hour if it's scheduled effectively. In fact, I was on the phone with one of our specialists this morning. He's earning close to $1,500 an hour because he's scheduling effectively. So take a close look at that. How about your hygiene visits? That's an opportunity for more per visit. What's your rate of fluoride? Even adult fluoride. What about sealants, antibiotics, perio enrollment? Also, all of those more per visit. The next is 5 steps to enrollment. Joanne, did you already talk about 5 steps to enrollment in 5 business engines?
Well, it's Miranda.
Miranda, what did I say?
First of all, Joanne, who's also an amazing. There's too many of us, John. It's all good. We touched on 3 of the 5. So we touched on clinical and technology, sales and marketing, which we spent a lot of time on, and then we picked up at people engine. So we still need to address finance and organization.
Okay, so you already talked about the 5 steps of enrollment.
No.
No. Okay, great. So let's talk about the 5 steps of enrollment, because that's another way to get more per visit. Think about it. If you are tracking if you're tracking your case acceptance rate, and there's an opportunity to make that better, then you're going to get more per visit. So the first step in getting patients on board with the treatment that they want and need is to build rapport. Now, how do we do that? How do we establish rapport? If I were to ask you to turn to the person next to you or someone that you're meeting for the first time and build rapport, what would you do? You would ask them some questions. Maybe you'd ask them where they're from, or you'd ask them about their background or what they do. What you're really doing there is you're looking for what? Something in common. Yeah, something in common. You're looking for something in common. So when you're looking for something in common, that's what starts to build rapport, because people like people who are like themselves. Let me say that again. People like people who are like themselves. So we have some very scientific ways to establish rapport, more than just looking for commonalities. One of them is matching and mirroring. So when I'm talking about matching and mirroring body language, matching and mirroring tone of voice, speed of talking, I'm talking about also matching and mirroring proximity. Some people like to be more close when they're talking. Others like a little bit more space. Even the way you shake hands can be a way to match and mirror people. That's another way to build rapport, because people like people who are like themselves. Another way, before I get to values and rules here, another way to build rapport is to know their behavioral preferences. So we use an assessment called DISC, which is an acronym, DISC. And there are 4 different behavioral styles that people have. Some people like to get to the bottom line very quickly. Those are your Ds. Some people like to build a relationship before you start to work with them. They want to like you before you do business with them. Some people just want to trust you, and they're a little bit more slow paced. And some people want to do business with you because of the information you give them. They want details and analysis. Now imagine if, as a dentist, I give all the details and information and analysis to someone that wants to get to the bottom line very quickly. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. It's our job, and your job in this case, to be a good chameleon and adjust to their behavioral preferences and their communication styles. I'll give you one more way to build rapport, and we do a whole day on this, by the way, so I'm giving you some really good key things that you can implement fairly quickly. Another way is to know people's meta programs. Now think about this like a layer of onion, right? You have their people's learning style, you have their behavioral preferences, you have their meta programs, matching and mirroring. These are all different layers of individuals to really be like them. And so one example of a meta program is someone that is moving towards happiness or towards pleasure versus someone that's moving away from pain. We're going to present much differently to someone that's moving towards pleasure than someone that's moving away from pain. So for example, if someone's moving away from pain, you may say, look, if you don't address this now, then it's going to be even more painful. By the way, I'm not just talking about physical pain. It could be financial pain. If you don't do this now, it's going to be more painful, or it's going to blow up on July 4th weekend at the last time you want it. And it's going to cost you significantly more dollars, because that's going to turn into a lost tooth and an implant and all of these other things. So you got to kind of put them in more pain now than the pain of moving forward with the treatment. That's an example of a meta program. Now, the second step of 5 steps of enrollment is to discover your values and rules, to discover the patient's values and rules. So very simply, a value is what the patients want from the dental practice. So for example, do they want to connect with you? Do they want a relationship? Or is what's most important to them functionality in their mouth? Or is what's most important to them to be comfortable? Or is what's most important to them to be healthy? So once you understand their value, then you can give them what you want, give them what they want. Because if you can't give them what they want, then I'm sorry, if you don't know what they want, then you can't give them what they want. Fair enough? Think about the golden rule. Who remembers what the golden rule is? Can someone type in the golden rule into chat? Yeah, it's treat others the way you would want to be treated. Thank you, Miranda. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. So that works well most of the time. But when we're talking about enrolling patients, we need to take that up to the next level, which is the platinum rule. And the platinum rule is treat people as they would want to be treated. Thank you, Frank. Treat others as they would want to be treated. So that's what we're talking about here. So find out what they want and give them what they want, which is step number 3. Give them what they want. Once you find out what that is, you can give it to them. And step number 4 is obtain their commitment. That just simply looks like this. Would you like to start on that this week or next week? Assume acceptance and obtain their commitment. Would you like to start on that this week or next week? Notice I'm not saying, do you want to move forward with this? Or do you have the money to pay for this? I'm not asking any of those questions. I'm just assuming they need to move forward with it because I, as the doctor, or you as the doctor and the dentist, are saying they need this. They don't have a DDS behind their name or a DMD. You know better than they do what they need. They're just maybe trying to avoid it. And then congratulate them. The reason for this is that it minimizes any type of buyer remorse, which I would challenge any one of you. I bet any one of your patients that has gone through dental treatment and received dental treatment, there's very little buyer's remorse when they're done. But you may experience a little bit in between that time they commit and start. So congratulating them looks like this. You're going to be so happy with the results. You're going to love the way your smile looks, or you're going to tie it right back to their value. So that is congratulate them. We can talk a little about handling objections, but I'd like to just open it up for any questions that may be out there. I know we have mostly friends and family on here, but what questions? Stuart, Harleen, anything on your mind? Any questions about how to drive more new business, the 3 ways to drive business?
I don't have any questions. I mean, I think this is, just great information to to know. And also, what's good about it is if I'm talking to my clients and I feel like they need a little extra, I can kind of whet their appetites with what you told me, and then, kind of segue to you guys in terms of, in terms of getting them help to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
that's why I wanted to kind of piggyback on to this webinar, because I think, I think for me, it just gives me some good ideas. And, I don't do what you guys do in any sense of the word. But like I said, it's nice to be able to say, hey, talk to these guys, they'll help you with A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
And, and it also shows my relationship and, in the dentistry arena also. So
Yeah.
thank
Great.
you.
Awesome.
It's
Thank you,
great.
Harleen. And Harleen is a great CPA in the New York, New Jersey area, specific to dentists. And that's what you want. If you are, if you're, for all the dentists out there, you want an accountant and a CPA who is specific to dentistry, because there are very specific things that you need to know. And especially like in the last year, I mean, how much more valuable have our CPAs been than ever, helping us navigate PPP and HHS and all of these opportunities. We rely on our CPAs quite a bit. So thank you, Harleen, for
Thank
that.
you. Thanks.
I don't have a question, but I think now that we have Harleen here, this would be helpful for her as well as the viewers watching the finance component of the 5 business engines, giving some of those benchmarks that we talked about earlier, like payroll benchmark, percentage, labs, supplies, rent, just what's healthy, what we recommend at Fortune, I think would be really insightful for everyone to know.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the finance engine, and Harleen, you can confirm these numbers. So your profit and loss statement is your most important monitor in your practice, because it simply tells you your collections, all your expenses, and collections minus expenses is your profit, and hopefully not your loss. But if expenses are more than collections, then it's going to be a loss. And we look at 6 key expenses. We look at all of them really, but there are 6 key ones that we look at first. And the first one is payroll. And we like to see payroll for a general practice and most specialty practices between 20 and 25%. So if you're in that range or below that range, you're doing great. And if you're above that range, then we can talk about how to bring it down into the 25%. Second is your lab bill. Your lab is 8 to 12% for a non-CEREC practice, and less than 5% if you're using CEREC. Dental supplies is 5. We like to see 5 to 6% in dental supplies. Next is marketing. We like to see you spending 3 to 4%, of your collection budget on marketing. These are all percentages of your total income. And your rent is 5 to 7%. Sometimes in New York City, we can see it a little bit higher than that, but even still, we expect to drive collections higher than typical, and that will help us get rent in line with 5 to 7%. And then finally, office supplies, 1 to 2%. So I'd like to, so those are some metrics, Miranda, to get those out. Thanks for reminding me on that. Here's what I'd like to offer anyone that's watching this or here today to take advantage of a practice analysis. So we're talking about monitors, and the profit and loss is one of the most important monitors in your practice. And what we do in our practice analysis is look at not only your profit and loss, but we look at 20 metrics across your practice. And we give you a really good sense of where you're doing well and where the opportunities are. And since our friends at Praze are hosting this, we're happy to extend this to any of your current clients, Stuart, any of your current clients that want to take advantage of this practice analysis. It's a $2,500 value. And Stuart is just making this available to you to take advantage of our insights. And there's two ways that could go. We can do the practice analysis for you, and you can take the information, and you'll be that much more knowledgeable about your practice. And we will also show you ways that we can support you to start to implement these programs. So that's just a great offer, and we'll explain in more detail exactly how that works. But Miranda, I know if you can type into chat the link, which I see you have, and I'm just going to read the link out too, and Stuart, you can distribute it out to your clients.
Perfect.
I'm going to read it to you so that for those listening, because if you're listening, you're not seeing the chat, just go to fortunenortheast.com/practice analysis. One word. Practice analysis is one word. So fortunenortheast.com/practice analysis. And we just ask for your name and phone number and city, and we will get you scheduled for that. Great opportunity. So in the 2 minutes I have remaining, I want to close out with an interesting story about mindset, because with all of this, with the 5 business engines, you as a leader of the practice, taking advantage of the 3 guaranteed ways to grow your business, it all starts up here. And, you know, we live in a somewhat negative world, if you think about it. You know, one of my favorite responses, Frank helped me develop this idea. One of the responses you hear these days to the word thank you is no problem. That's 2 negative words back to back, no and problem. So there are much better ways to respond to that. You're welcome is a step up, but even you're welcome is not enough. We like to say my pleasure. So we want to transition that negative bias. And what happened, you know, back in the 50s and earlier than that is man was trying to run a mile in 4 minutes. And they were trying to for years and they couldn't do it. The doctors actually said to them that the human body is not designed to run a mile in 4 minutes. So the coach said, you know, there's no way you can do it. Don't even try. But the runners determined, they got to the line and they said, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to break that barrier. We can do it. But there was this little voice inside of them that said, who are you kidding me, man? You and I both know you can't do this. And you see that negative influence had its effect for years. Nobody could break the 4-minute mile until May 6th, 1954, in Oxford, England. Roger Bannister came along and he broke the barrier. 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. And the moment he broke the barrier, the world knew that it wasn't unbreakable. 6 weeks later, another runner in Australia broke it. And a year later, 4 more. Today, over 500 runners have broken that barrier, and it's a normal target to shoot for. And in case you're missing the point, which I don't think you are, your beliefs drive 80% of your success. Your success is 80% psychology and 20% skill. I love the quote from Napoleon Hill. If you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome. So have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you next time.